We're ready to start Parks and Rec meeting, February 27th, 2023. Call to order.
No, I do the roll call.
Roll call, sorry. It's not on your agenda. All right, we'll stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mr. Morrow. Here. Ms. White.
Here.
Mr. Denise.
Here.
Ms. Drumheller.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, do we have any announcements and agenda modifications? Anyone? Nope. All right, so we're going to approve the minutes from the January 23rd meeting that we had.
I have one change that I'd like to make. If you could just put me as excused into the not present portion of the minutes from the last meeting. And then I move that we accept the minutes as written with that one modification.
Second by Mr. Morrow. All right, for public input right now? What? All in favor of the change for the last minutes from our meeting?
Aye.
Aye. All right, any public input right now? I see that we have some people here. Where does public input come? Does public input address Silver Street Park?
So,
Silver Street Park disc golf something is part of your agenda?
so just for clarification, public input is for items not on the agenda. So the items that we have on the agenda are current project updates, committee member park updates, upcoming events at Riverview Park, and committee member discussion and recommendation to City Council on playground designs for Filbert Street Park and Easy Street Park. So public input will be for any items not listed on the agenda.
So if we want to discuss disc golf, this is the time. Yes, because it's not on the agenda. Yeah. So if you'd like to speak on something that's not on the agenda, you can do that now.
Kathleen Simpson, 120 Landover Drive. Yes, please. We have a few of our neighbors here because they're concerned about disc golf and how it will impact our neighborhood. I know that you know that we have the endangered turtles. But the meeting that I was at in December, I heard that the park wasn't used. And I said at that meeting, the park is used. I have witnessed cheerleaders practicing. I've watched them practice lacrosse. There are people that go out there and they hit their golf balls, they walk their dogs. The neighborhood children would like, I know that that's part of the agenda, but the neighborhood children would be really glad to have their playground equipment back. We are concerned because there are no restroom facilities. We're concerned that disc golf would bring in more traffic to the neighborhood, we have no sidewalks. Those are just a few of our concerns. I'm sure that other people would like to address their concerns as well, but thank you for listening to me. Oh, has nothing to do with the park, but yes, it does. I have offered, if you want the railing either pressure washed and painted or stained, I'm willing to do it if you provide the materials. No labor. I'm happy to do it because it's part of my neighborhood.
My name is Joe DiBartolo, and I live at 116 Landover Drive. First thing I want to do is thank you guys for taking back the court. Appreciate what you did, and I know how hard you guys work, and I appreciate you. I want you to know that. And you're all underpaid. Now, the issue I have with it is we have 28 houses that surround that park, that border to it. It's going to bring in traffic, and I understand there's new things happening in life every day. They did it with the pickleball thing. They moved it to the golf course. It's a great thing. It's beautiful. It's filled all the time. That's where it should be, not in our backyard. When I bought that property, I bought what I see today. I don't want to change it. I just want to enjoy it. So if you can help us, please, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Polly McKinney, 90 Joy Haven Drive. I also spoke in December regarding the park and the usage of the park and how many people are using the park. I saw a lady sitting having her coffee this morning at one of the picnic tables at the park. I think my biggest concern is this is a passive park and it needs to stay a passive park. One of my other concerns about this particular park is we've owned our home since 2003 and never noticed cars driving into the back of the park behind where some of the foliage is that blocks the view from the road. And this is happening on a fairly frequent basis in the evening time at night when the park is supposed to be closed. But also, I've seen cars go back there during the day, not like city cars or the county cars, but I have taken some pictures of beer cans, condoms, garbage, food trash, things of this nature, and tire tracks all back there. I know that there is a sign coming into Stormwater Park from one of the roadways that says it's a passive park and there's no motorized vehicles allowed, into the park. I'd like to see some signage go up in regards to that, because if you are walking back there in that area and a car comes flying around the back of that, I've almost gotten hit. I've also had to call the police because the non-emergency number to say that there was people pulled into the path area in the walking part of the park. Sometimes there's golf carts in there, sometimes there's four-wheelers in there, type of thing. And there's no signage, so I don't know, why, people might think it's permitted. I don't know if it is permitted. It doesn't seem like it should be permitted, but I just wanted to bring that up. But certainly I concur that this particular park I don't think is suited for anything that's not a passive activity. I could see where if there were some little exercise stations set up so people could walk and then stop and maybe do a little exercising or something like that, that would be beneficial. But an actual sport in this particular park to draw people into it. And the other thing that I wanted to say is I know Mr. Benton said in December that the gentleman who had brought this forward was gone for a couple of months, and I'm, just where is he? Is it something in consideration that we're still waiting for him to come, and do we need to keep coming and constantly watching the agenda to see if he's coming back, or kind of where that is?
Can I ask her a couple questions or not?
I mean, I would prefer not to get into back
Okay.
and forth, but if you have a specific question
I'm
you
going
want
to
to ask her, you can.
I'm going to ask you then, have we had problems with, have you gotten calls about cars up on the green area?
So I have not personally received any calls. I know years ago, there was an issue with cars coming into the park at night, and they started locking the front entrance up with a chain and lock to prevent people from pulling in there. One of the things that staff is already looking into, regardless of what happens with the park, is installing a split rail wooden fence to designate a parking area. That's going to be part of our ADA accessibility to the playground, where we install an ADA parking space and sidewalk to the playground. So that's already in our plans to fence off the parking lot area and prevent vehicles from being able to access further into the park. It's already our plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
Again, it's Kathleen Simpson, 120 Landover Drive. What Polly just said, I've experienced headlights in my bedroom at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning because I back right up to the park. So I know what she's saying is more than accurate. It's a little frightening sometimes, I gotta tell you, because my window is way up high. It's not a short window. But I understand that Sebastian, I don't know whether it's rumor or truth, has annexed property. And if people really want disc golf, why could not disc golf be in that area when the people that are moving into that area know that it's there already? That's my question. And I also wondered last time how many acres of how big the park is at Filbert Street and how much of the acreage that disc golf would take. And it sounded like the residents in close proximity would be limited to the use of the park because they might even use some of the walking trails for part of it. Thank you.
Brian, what is the situation with lighting at that park? That's my park, but I'm not there at night.
Yeah, are we closed with public input?
Yes, is there anyone else that wanted to speak? All right, we're closed then for public input.
So in regards to lighting at that park, there are no lights at the park. It is kind of a dusk to dawn facility, passive park that we have.
Is there a potential, since maybe you can see what the police have to say with reports of cars that they've checked up on, is there any potential of us having a camera there so we can actually see what the activity level is?
I've got to check and see in regards to the electrical capabilities at the site. I don't know that we have any there currently, so it would be an additional cost to run the electric there and put a meter and such there for a camera. But I can check with the police department to see what reports they've had. I know that, staff's design with a wooden fence to close off a parking area would solve those problems, with the exception of, vandalism or damage caused by someone could access further, but it would be a damage vandalism type situation.
Brian, I've been out to Filbert, and I walked back in the back, and I couldn't walk 25, 30 feet without coming across a turtle. I mean, they're everywhere. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I went on record once before at a meeting and said there's no public facilities there, bathrooms, there's no parking. I come to find out that there is disc golf available at 77th Street and 58th Avenue. There's a 9-hole course there. That's pretty close to us. So the fact that the gentleman that is interested in coming and doing something in Sebastian. I don't know where they're playing, and maybe this needs to go on the agenda for next month to just bring it up for a committee vote of a yay or nay that we want to continue on looking for disc golf in Sebastian, or should we just leave it to places that it's now available? That park is called Kiwanis Hobart, and it's right across from the fairgrounds on 58th and 77th Avenue. It's a 9-hole course.
I have a question for Brian, and I brought up the issue of the Frisbee golf, and my thinking at that time, if you remember, was for a bigger piece of property. When I was, and I apologize because I thought I like to listen to people and I like to investigate them, but I think we needed a big area if we were going to do that. I wasn't necessarily, I never brought it up as a motion. I brought it up for discussion. As a motion, can a motion be brought up? I think these good people should know. I mean, I don't think any of it, or correct me if I'm wrong now, I mean, would anybody think that that would be a good facility for this here? I think we need a much larger piece of property. Since then, the pieces of property that I think it would be ideal for have already been turned down years ago. So personally, I don't want to fight that issue again. But can I bring up a motion to, that we're not looking to put the Frisbee golf into that property, or just so these people have peace of mind that?
Do we need to put this on the agenda for the next meeting? And then we can
have to
discuss
do?
that then?
So my recommendation, and just to be clear, I don't remember if it was the November or December meeting, staff was given direction from the committee to look into these options. Staff did some research. We met with Mr. Clifton on site. We walked the property. We did what the committee requested staff to do. Staff has not, based on the last meeting, we have not expended any additional hours in researching this. We have basically stopped our research until we're given further clarification. My recommendation is we'll put it on the next agenda to have a discussion amongst the committee. And then that way it's noticed, it's put out to the public. Anyone for or against can show up to the next meeting, and we can go forward with the decision from the committee to continue to direct staff however you please. But as of now, we've stopped really looking into the disc golf portion based on the January meeting.
Thank you, Ryan, for clarification.
Yes, sir.
Okay, next is unfinished business. We're going to talk about the current projects and updates.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So this is kind of my opportunity to give you all updates on projects and for you all to ask me any questions that you may have about these projects. Our swing park project is currently delayed. I mentioned it at the last meeting. The issue we're having right now is, as a result of the latest hurricane, we saw a good amount of beach erosion in that park property. So in order to come back in and mitigate and rehabilitate the shoreline in that area, we have to have permit from Florida Department of Environmental Protection. So we have submitted our application for the permit. Unfortunately, we don't have an answer on a timeline from them. I'm sure all across the state they're getting the same request, and it's coming in pretty frequently from everyone. So before we can move forward with a design and a finalization of a conceptual design for the swing park, we need to be able to stabilize our shoreline and know exactly where our mean high water line is on the east side, so that we can understand how far out we can go. And also, we're looking into some mitigation efforts that would prevent that erosion in the future. The one thing staff doesn't want to do is we don't want to design something, go forward with installation, very next storm comes through and it undermines the complete design that we have and we lose that park. So that's where we're kind of in a holding stage on that park. I just wanted to keep you all informed on that. Kind of the same situation at the yacht club. The north dock is still closed. I met with a contractor on site today. We have received cost estimates to do the repairs. However, FEMA will not approve us to go forward with the repairs until we have our DEP permit. The contractor offered to assist us with getting that permit, since that is a pretty high need area coming up into the boating season. So we're working hard on that one and trying to get DEP to approve that first there at the yacht club so we can get that property repaired. FEMA has weekly meetings with the city, so we get updates from them. They've assured us that once we get the permit, that they're ready to support us in moving forward with that project. We just have to have the DEP permit first. So that's one of those. And once we can get all that in line, the contractor is comfortable with 2 to 3 days construction to reset that dock, and we'll be back fully functional.
How big of a project is that?
So in meeting with the contractor, or one of the contractors, we get multiple bids. We have to get at least 3. So in meeting, we've gotten two so far. They're going to just reset the pilings. They can sink the pilings back into the ground. We had discussed with FEMA in regards to looking at a mitigation effort that would include installing a new surface instead of having the wood surface, going with a graded surface similar to what we have at the ADA dock, that would allow water to come through it when the surge and waves are up during storms. We feel like that would prevent the uplift that we saw with the dock this time. However, FEMA has informed us that it doesn't really qualify because of the cost for repair, and then the cost for the mitigation is such, it was about 160% higher for the mitigation than it was for the repairs. So the cost greatly exceeded what their estimates were for mitigation to prevent it from happening in the future.
So does FEMA pay all of that then? Or do we, as a city, we put in part of that also then?
Yeah, so with this repair, we'll go ahead and cover the cost, and then FEMA reimburses us. It's strictly based on what category it falls in from FEMA. So we don't have a definite answer when it initially happens, but we work with them to try to get as close to 100%. If we can't get 100%, we try to get as close to that reimbursement.
But we can't start anything until FEMA okays what we're going to do then, right?
Correct. So they won't give us the go-ahead to do the work until we have the DEP permit.
Okay, thank you.
So staff right now, we're going through parks and continue to trim trees, clean up parks. This is our kind of a slower period we're getting ready to go into. The rainier season here, hopefully in March, April, that grass will start to grow. So right now we're doing a lot of catch-up projects from the winter time that we can get in and trim trees. And then I would, just as a report, and that as of mid-March, March 13th, we have a new employee starting, and that will get us back to full staffing levels in parks for probably the first time in about 2 to 3 years. It's been that long since we've been full staff. So that will be March 13th. Once that employee starts, we'll be back at full staff. So that's a good thing. And those are all the updates that I have, unless anyone has any questions on other projects.
Not a question, but I would like to compliment the group, I think, for not being up to full staff. Our parks look, very impressive, the job they're doing. And just a courteous walk-in, like my wife said to me this morning when we were walking down on the piers, the guy's doing the lawn and stops and waits for her to go down. And these are things that impress the citizens of it. So I explained to her that I didn't have nothing to do with that. Brian, I'm sure, had something to do with it. But
I had a question. With the addition with the cemetery is now part of parks, right? And do you maintain that also now? Is that?
So the cemetery does fall underneath my responsibilities. It does not fall technically underneath parks, but it does fall underneath my responsibilities, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Any committee member updates? We can start. Do you have anything? I got it. Mr. Dan?
I don't have anything either.
Mr. Morrow?
Yes, I have one thing. And it's not the bathrooms. Can we check the sprinklers at pickleball on the parking lot side? Because it seems on at least one of the courts, there's some overspray. Now, I don't know if it's wind or if it's some of the sprinklers might need to be adjusted.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
And I don't have anything. Easy Street, fine. We still have ducks, and it's springtime there. So that's all I have. Anyone else? Nope. All right. Upcoming events at Riverview Park.
Yes, so I'll give an update each month on the upcoming monthly events. Friday, March 3rd, Chamber of Commerce Concert in the Park starts at 5:30 and goes till 8 p.m. Saturday, March 11th and Sunday, March 12th, the Sebastian Craft Club will have their event in the park starting at 10 a.m. River Days and Craft Brew Hullabaloo, which is formerly Shrimp Fest. They have rebranded themselves to River Days. That will be Friday, March 17th from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, March 18th from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Sunday, March 19th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. I know that they will have the Craft Brew Hullabaloo on Saturday down in the Twin Piers grass lot. They'll have bands throughout the evening on Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, inside the park with vendors and food. And they will have on Sunday, they'll have a classic car show down on Indian River Drive as well. If you go to their website, they have a trolley that'll be going from Jackson Street down to the park and back up and down Indian River Drive. I think there's 3 stops on that to try to help people with parking if you have to park further north.
We don't have any streets closed off at that one, do we, for that event, or do we?
Yes, so that one we will have Sebastian Boulevard from US 1 to Indian River Drive shut down. Indian River Drive is shut down from Coolidge Street to Sportsman's Lodge. And then Harrison Street is shut down at the splash pad entrance to Indian River Drive.
So the roads that are surrounding the park then?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
And then Friday, March 24th, is the second monthly Chamber of Commerce Concert in the Park starting at 5:30. And then this event is not pertaining to Riverview Park, but I felt like we should mention it. Sebastian River Area Little League has their opening day at Barber Street Sports Complex on Saturday, March 4th. Opening ceremony starts at 10 a.m. and then beginning at 11 a.m., they'll start with T-ball games and they'll go through their different age divisions ending at 5:30 p.m. So they'll have baseball and softball games going all day. Opening ceremony at 10 and then the games start at 11 and go all day until 5:30.
You've updated us on the parks. We're pretty much done with all the seating and everything, aren't we, at this time?
Yeah, right now we are. We've got a couple projects that we'll have to do in the summertime and stuff, but as of right now, we're updated with our park projects until we get further along in the year. Like baseball, we have to do the backstops and stuff like that but that project can't take place until their season's over.
And I would invite the public, if you haven't been out to the Barber Street complex in a while and you want to go for a nice walk down there and look at the baseball area. You can walk off of Barber Street, go back in, because it's really turned out very nice. And Brian's really pushed for that the last couple years. So it's a plus for the community. So thank you, Brian.
Brian, I do have a question for you. The dog situation at Riverview Park during events is getting a little bit out of hand. So I don't know how, it says no dogs, people don't read, people don't care, everyone has a service dog, and very interesting when they're muzzled and they're a service dog. But how can we do something about this, because they're everywhere now?
Correct. So we're installing additional signage for every single event. We're asking all the event organizers to promote that there's no dogs allowed in the park other than service animals. There's only so many questions we're allowed to ask for people with animals. And we also, our police department is kind of increasing their presence to assist with that as well. A lot of it falls back on the event organizers to notify us as far as the staffing level. Whenever we're down there, hey, we're having issues with dogs, and we can increase our staffing levels. So for our major events, I know we do have staff down there, and we'll have police assistance with that issue going forward.
And it also is during the art that
Yes.
weekend. And what makes it hard, because there's so many people on the road going around the vendors, and the dogs are on leashes, walking all over the place. So I understand what you're saying. It's hard to nail somebody on that. You have to be careful, but it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Correct. And the one issue we have with the Fine Arts and Music Festival a little bit is it is on a public roadway, per se. It's not within the park jurisdiction. So we run into a little bit of a gray area there, to be quite honest, whenever it's in the roadway and not within the park boundaries. So that's where you may have seen more than usual at Fine Arts and Music because of the exact location. But I know coming up with River Days, that's going to be a big item that we're going to focus on from a staffing level.
Where do the signs go up? When they have those events, they put them on the main walkways, on all of them around?
So for Fine Arts and Music, we station them basically at all the entrance points as far as main entrance points, like down Indian River Drive where you come in, and Indian River Drive on the other end, and then it's on Sebastian Boulevard as well. With events in the park, every entrance to the park has a permanent sign at that location already. And then we do temporary signs down at the Twin Piers location. So we have permanent signs at every park sidewalk entrance already.
Okay.
I think that one of the things we have to face up to, I know I got, I won't say chewed out, but want to know why I don't keep a permanent schedule, because I walk at different times, and if I'm not there, then they feel it's all right to walk down on the piers and everything. If I'm there, you know, you can't depend on him. You never know when he's going to show up, and they know that. I was the guy that one vote that voted against the dog park because I knew it wouldn't settle the issue here. This morning, for instance, the North Pier, when we're walking, my wife says, oh, no, they covered the sign again where it says no pets. But it wasn't covered the sign, it was a piece of cheese, and they put it right over there. This is what we live to. If I knew how to work a camera, I probably would have to resign from the board and make a video how people walk and how they turn their back when the dog is going. I mean, it's somebody that's very talented could put Sebastian on the map with their.
All we can do is keep trying. The big item now we're going to be working on for new business is discussion and recommendations to council we have to bring up for Filbert Street for the new playground equipment and Easy Street. Is the playground equipment still up on Easy Street or on Filbert?
Filbert, the playground equipment has been removed.
Okay, so that's gone. And then
Yes.
Easy, keep it there until we're about ready to install?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if you want to lead
I
us
can
through
start,
this.
do you have a preference, Madam Chair, with whether we start with Filbert or Easy Street?
It doesn't matter to me.
We'll start with Easy Street first, and then we'll go to Filbert after that.
Now, we're looking at putting two different styles of playground equipment at each park, right?
That is completely up to the
I
committee.
think we had discussed that instead of doing the same type at each park. Maybe looking at a different one for each one to make it different then. Okay. If everyone wants to get their materials out.
Yes, so Madam Chair, we'll start with Easy Street Park. When this process started, initially, cost estimates we had gotten back were completely over our budget, over a year ago. So we went out again and, I solicited quotes from, 4 of the largest manufacturers that we have in the state, or in the nation, but that do work within the state. I received price estimates back from 2 of them. The direction given to them, just so you have a little bit of background, because you'll see a little bit of the difference in the quotes and how they applied it, was that I offered them to supply as many designs as they wanted to, for the parks. I also asked them to include an ad alternate for swings. With that, I asked them to do an option with a single bay that had an ADA accessible swing and an expression swing, and then an option with a double bay, which had an ADA swing, an expression swing, and then 2 regular swings as an option. So just to give a little bit of information on the swings, when I refer to an ADA accessible swing, it's a swing that you can take a child, put in, it closes down over top of them. It has a harness or some type of element that holds the child in it, and they can go through the swing normally. The expression swing is a swing that's become popular. It can be done with a smaller child and a sibling, or it can be done with a smaller child and an adult in the swing at the same time, and they actually swing and they face each other as they're swinging. So it's become popular as well. So the reason I asked for that to be included with the ADA swing is because with the ADA, we're not allowed to put a normal swing or a baby swing in that same bay. You can only possibly do an ADA and an expression swing, so that got us both of those elements in one single bay.
Is it possible if we pick a prototype, one of the playground sets, that we can pick a swing design from another company, or does that make it too hard for you?
So it would affect the pricing.
Okay.
Because the pricing that we get supplied is based on the factor that we are going to purchase the playground set and swing together, because the freight will be all included, the installation will be all included. Now that's not to say we can't do that, and we could install the swing set in-house and save on the installation, but I'm sure the freight costs are going to go up because they've factored in freight cost altogether. Would be the only item for that, but I can reach back out on that number if you want to go that route. And one other thing that I want to add to this, and this goes into effect for both of them, both sites, on the game time quotes, they included signed, sealed, engineered drawings. We can eliminate that cost. We don't need those drawings. What they supply to us is sufficient for our building department, so we don't need signed and sealed drawings. Also, the building permit fee that they include, we can do that in-house. I can apply for the permit myself, and we can reduce that cost down substantially as well. So with Game Time, they did not include the playgrounds in their initial estimates. We can reduce those costs out of this, and that helps us with including swing sets with their estimates as well.
About how much are you thinking that we would save? And that also that sign, when I looked at this, if you look at the very first picture, and yes, this one here with the car. With the car? Yeah. And I asked Brian, and I circled it. They have these, it's a sign that says welcome, or I think it says children under a certain age. I know on Easy Street we have a sign that's posted. I asked him if we had to use theirs or if we could save that money, because it's like $1,700, I think. Was it that much?
It was $713. $713.
So if we could do it in-house and not have to use theirs, would that
Correct.
save us?
So what we have to do is we do have to provide a sign that states the age appropriateness. We have to have that at each one of our entrances to the playground property. So we would have a sign. We could just go away from having their specific sign that they want. So if you took that away from the Game Time estimate, the sign sealed drawings are $1,250. The building permit is $1,400. So that's $1,650 we save. And then if you add removal of the sign, then you get it up closer, to about $2,300.
Okay.
Somewhere in that ballpark that you're saving there, but obviously adding in the swings, which I would suggest doing, then that number goes back up above our budgeted number that we would
I
have to
think we
look
had
at.
talked about, when we were talking about playgrounds, about having a swing set area, because we've got all this room for the equipment, but to have the swing. So I don't know how anyone else, but I think we had that discussion when we started bringing this up and replacing the playground
I
equipment.
think so too.
Yep.
I really like, the Playmore, swing set, because it has the two
Yes,
kind of,
yeah,
for a little bit older kids, and then you have like an infant harness seat, and then you have maybe that toddler.
Mhm.
Kind of looks like, it's very disappointing that you can't have an ADA seat with a regular swing set. But do you have any idea, I know Easy Street Park is heavily utilized, has there been a lot of comment about the need for ADA at Easy Street?
So one of the things that we are trying to do is we are trying to implement ADA components in every playground. With that being said, it gets difficult, and I've had this discussion with specifically both of these companies because they did the installations for Blossom and George Street.
George Street, yeah.
And, you know, they're inclusive components on these playground systems that they include in their playground portion. You know, they're up for debate, you know, that yes, they meet the standards, yes, they exceed the standards, by all means, they exceed standards. But when you come to the practicality of someone actually using those elements, is it the same as a kid that's able to go down the slide, or is it practical for a kid to lift themselves out of a wheelchair, get onto the stand, be able to, you know, pick themselves up on every step to get to the slide? I really feel like we need to include the ADA swing sets in these, both of these parks, for that element to be able to provide that. Sorry to jump off of this, but one of the things, just keep in mind, Creative Playground is our next playground next year. That's a big one. It's an expensive one. One of our ideas for that we just discussed, the city manager and I had this discussion last week, is to really strive for ramps on that one. Make sure we can get some ramp elements so that we can get wheelchairs up to the slides and go a lot more ADA accessibility and do more components in that playground that are more practical. Like I said, these playgrounds all exceed the inclusive components that are required. They exceed it. They go above and beyond based on their elements. I just question sometimes the practicality of some of the components that they say are inclusive and accessible.
All right, let's start at the first one. The very first one that has the car on it, and that was the Easy Street Park Playground. I guess, I don't know if you know what all these components are on here, Brian, but like the second, there's a red disc sticking out on the side. Is it movable, do you know? I don't even know what to call it.
So with that one, it has an element that you use your hand and you move it along the pathway, so you can come up to it and you'll be able to move it around. It is what that element is.
Okay, and do we need the car? Is that part of that?
We can remove the car.
I don't know how anyone else feels about that.
The car kind of looks like one of those things on a spring that just
Yeah.
bounces a little bit.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it's going to
Okay,
be, yes.
well-
So the drawings that we have, what are the age group that we're talking about servicing in this park?
So with the game time drawing, it's going to meet 2 to 5 and 5 to 12. So it's going to meet basically 2 to 12-year-old.
I really don't like this car. It doesn't have a steering wheel on it, doesn't
Yeah,
have anything other than a big plastic piece of jump on it and then get
Yeah,
off.
and I see it as something breakable. Plus, sitting out in the sun all day, it's not going to look like this after a couple of years. So I don't know if anyone else really loves this, the car, but how much is that?
The car was $3,000.
Oh. Do you feel we need that, Brian?
$3,000?
The committee is making the decision.
I'm just saying a cardboard box would be
So-
more enjoyable for most
So
children.
you have two options before you for Easy Street. You have the Playmore design, which is inclusive of the swings. If we need to expand the footprint of the playground area with the fencing, we are more than willing to do that, and I've discussed that with both of these companies. And then you have the Game Time design that you can pick and pull different pieces. Those pieces that you pulled will then subsidize the swings for Easy Street if you decide to go with Game Time at Easy Street. It's completely up to you all.
I really like Playmore's.
Yeah, I like that one too.
With the four swings, and there's multiple, I like that they have two slides. Slides and swings seems to be a big deal with little kids. They like to go up and down slides. There's a lot of different little touchy-feely things and jungle gym kind of climbing.
And climbing
that's not too hard,
things,
like this,
yeah.
This one.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got four swings.
Right.
And those seem to, for that age group, I don't know what this red thing in the middle is, but that looks like $3,000 of no fun to me also.
This here, this brown thing?
Yeah,
I think you climb inside that.
So,
Climbing
so
that
the round portion is an inclusive element that is a sensory item. So if a child is over
stimulated, they can go on this egg.
they can go there, and it can be something to where a friend can join them inside of it, or it can
climbing
kind of be a sensory element for them to get away from the playground area a little
Or
bit,
hide.
is how that was explained to
Have
me.
you ever seen one of these in person?
I have not seen one of those elements in person, no, ma'am.
Only because I see that it has a hole, and I'm wondering if this element wouldn't get soaking wet and have like
Oh, collect
a little
water
piece of little river
inside
on the
of
bottom, inside the egg.
So I will have that discussion with the manufacturer.
Wondering.
it. Okay, I like this design also. I think it's spread out. They're not in such a tight quarter running around inside. There are climbing things, there's slides. So this was one of my favorite ones also. How about you, Mr. Janice? Like this one here.
Yeah.
And Mr. Merle? Now, this was going to be the Filbert Street. Does it matter?
This
What
was
is
going,
Easy-
this is
we're
Easy
talk- We're
Street.
I
talking
know.
about Easy Street.
Well,
You might have, okay, so you're looking at Filbert?
I'm
We've got
just
two
looking at this
Easy.
Playmore and it says Filbert on mine.
Yeah, well, that's the second set.
Okay.
There's a Playmore set for Filbert, and there's a Playmore set for Easy.
So I will say this, I'm comfortable that we can interchange the playgrounds with the same manufacturer at either site, Ms. White.
It says Filbert. That's what I said.
But the other one's Easy.
This is Filbert. What's the other easy one? Oh, this one. Yes. Yeah.
We do have the ability to interchange if that's your choice. If, whatever the committee decides, we can interchange. I can take the Filbert playground and put it at Easy, the Easy and put it at whatever you all decide that you want to do, we can make the footprint work at either one of these playgrounds or parks.
Okay. Is everyone okay with this for the Easy Street, the Playmore? And then you were going to check on that round.
Correct. I will have
Egg.
that discussion with them in
Okay.
regards to water intrusion. I'll get with them first thing in the morning.
Now, with Easy Street, looking at this equipment, we would have to expand the playground section in there. It's going to have to be bigger.
Correct. So what we would do is we would expand it to the west.
Out towards the road area that
No.
way? Wait,
So
west, oh,
toward-
the other way.
Correct. Just right down the sidewalk. We'd keep going right down the sidewalk to the west.
Okay,
So where we currently come down and the fence meets the sidewalk, basically, we'd keep going to the west right there.
So it'll just be fenced, continue the same kind of fencing around it then?
Yes, ma'am. We would install some new fencing down there to expand it out if we needed to.
Okay. So is everyone in agreement then? Oh, yes.
Would you want me to make a motion?
Do you have a question?
No, do you want me to make a motion?
Yes, I would like that.
Okay, so I move that on Easy Street that we do the Playmore Playground, this picture, this set of swings, and we'll talk about the A.
A second? Oh, I don't know if you can put it on there. Can you put it on there?
You see?
Oh, close-up of you, maybe when it's on your face, the camera?
You can put the image on the Elmo.
Do we have a second on that motion? Mr. Morrow seconds that? All those in favor?
Public input.
Yes? Oh, because it's on.
Since we're doing them separate, do a public.
Okay, is there any input from the public or discussion? And what are we looking, oh, the other thing I was going to ask, I know we waited on this because of the prices. Did it make a difference or not?
It did. There were some sales that came on that triggered it, and we're actually, depending on what happens with Filbert, we're within budget right now. This playground, including the swings, was $47,000. We had budgeted $50,000.
Okay, and what are we looking at timelines?
I'll have to have that discussion with them. I'm anticipating you're probably going to look somewhere in the ballpark of 2 to 3 months.
Okay, all right. All right, so it's been motion with second? For Easy Street. All right, so let's go on to Filbert now.
Could you, all those in favor?
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So this is just a recommendation going to city council for, and I just want to make sure I'm correct.
Yes.
You chose the Playmore design for Easy Street Park.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's go on to
Let's
Filbert.
go to Filbert.
You do? All right, you want to talk on that? All right. All right, Filbert Street, there was this one with the orange roofing on it, and then the other one, which I really didn't care for, with the gray rock climb-up standalone, and I wasn't quite sure what this red sail climb-up thing was. I'm not sure if anybody else, it's the one your hand is on.
I thought that was like a,
Like climbing?
like a toss. Something you would toss like a beanbag.
This? No, but this second one. Oh, but this one I was
It is
looking
a
at.
climbing element.
It's a climbing. This gray thing here is the other one, I think.
It's been a long time since I was a kid. I would toss.
Oh, this one, I see, you're talking about this. Yeah, this one. Yeah, but this other one, in the back. See this?
So with
Here.
Filbert Street, what I don't see in these options is the swings, because we're going to keep the swings that are there.
No, so Playmore included swings in their design. Game Time, the Easy Street swings that were proposed at Easy Street can be used from Game Time, can be used at Filbert.
Oh.
So you can't have, it just, if you all decide you want swings from companies to be with a different playground, it just opens up a whole different element. So I'd prefer to stick with swings with the same playground company, but the swings that were the option at Easy Street from Game Time are the same option at Filbert.
Okay. Yeah, that's a nice swing.
Hold on, so I heard a second, we didn't have a motion of any, okay, all right, just want to make sure, no motion.
Are we looking at this one?
So I think what you have to decide,
Sorry. Okay.
so what we'll need to decide at Filbert is which playground you want to go with. And then you have to decide whether you want to go with a single bay swing, which, would be just the ADA and the expression swing, if you choose game time. Or the double swing, and the prices are there. If you go with the Playmore, I believe they have included, the two bays already in theirs. So they already have included the double bay in theirs, their price.
Okay, so then if we wanted the swings designed from Playmore on Filbert Street with game time, there's going to be a separate cost for shipping and everything on that?
Correct. I just think you get into, one of the big elements with playgrounds is you like them to do the installation, because of the liability. So, and then the shipping cost as well. So I would prefer you stick with a manufacturer with the playground and the swings.
Where's game time's swing?
So game time swings are gonna be in the Easy Street package because
Oh, okay.
you can move them around.
Oh, okay,
You understand what I'm saying?
okay.
So you can't add the Easy Street swings from game time to this game time playground.
Okay.
I make a motion that we accept Brian's recommendation.
Hold on,
Or
Tom.
doing-
I'm not making a recommendation.
No, you make a recommendation. What's your, turn your green
About
on?
these swings? I
Yes,
want to make sure
ma'am.
we're talking about the right
Yes.
one. These are the
Those?
game time swings.
Is that what you wanted? Or the one?
And this would be, well, they have to be from the same manufacturer. For game time. But this is really, has a lot of activities on it. This is the ADA one.
I'm sorry, we don't have any regular swings then with that? If,
That would be correct.
Yes, but we, hold on. So if you do the double bay, you would have regular swings. So the option with the double bay at game time is to do a ADA swing, an expression swing, and then to do two regular
Two
swings, so you'd
regular
have two
swings.
bays.
okay, as long as we could get some regular swings in there. Yeah. All right, so someone want to make a motion?
I will make a motion for Filbert Street Park that we accept option one from Game Timer with the ADA seats as well as two regular swing sets that won't be attached to the ADA. So that would be option one.
And do we have a second on that? So Mr. Danis, second that? All those in favor?
Oh, public input.
Public
Input from the public. This is Filbert Street. If you'd like to come and, you have to come up here though and address us.
Hi, my name's Wayne Cornwall. I live at 185 Filbert Street. My question is, Filbert Street already has existing swings. Are they going to be taken out and replaced by new swings?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else want to speak to this? Okay. All right. We had a motion
A second?
and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
So I just want to clarify this. You made your motion, you verified it. You're going with game time option one and then add the double bay swings into that. Okay.
Color coordinated.
Color
Well, in the picture,
coordinated.
they're yellow.
Yeah, so unfortunately I get to choose the colors when it comes down to the end.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'll do my best,
I
sir.
don't know how yellow's gonna look with red and blue.
It'll be okay. All right, let's go back. That's what we want, color. Okay, anything else? Items for our next agenda date, it's going to be March 27th. Is anything for the agenda? Except we're going to do the disc golf discussion.
How's that gonna be worded?
So, basically what I'm gonna do is we'll have it as an open discussion on disc golf within the city of Sebastian. And we will have to have the discussion as to whether, Filbert Park is an option or not. I made it clear earlier that staff has pulled back on going forward with any work on this. So we won't have anything really prepared other than what you've already heard. So I'll come prepared with all of the documentation I've had before, at that meeting, and we will just have a general discussion. I would advise everyone to continue to look around. If you think there's other options within the city, that we haven't discussed, I would, advise you to look at those. You can reach out to me. We can meet, have a discussion individually before the meeting, if you think there's other options, and I can kind of give you some feedback on that. But I just can't, I think we just have an open discussion at the next one as to how we want to move forward. We know what the options already are in the area. We've discussed the county has a location. We've discussed, on Schuman Drive, there's a church across the street from the park that has options. So I think we just go forward with that discussion, and you all make a decision as a committee on how you want to go forward.
Brian, can we invite the pastor of the church that has the disc golf course on Schuman now?
Yes, I will try to make contact with them to see if they can have a representative, from there attend the next meeting.
That'd be great.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, this meeting's adjourned.